Welcome to Tenacity with Sonia C, the podcast where entrepreneurs, founders, and ambitious professionals come to learn from those who have walked the path, navigating challenges and achieving success. Whether it's thriving in business, pivoting, scaling for growth, fundraising, or finding work-life balance, dealing with loneliness, adversity, or overcoming personal struggles. Our guests share the insights and strategies that have empowered them to level up. I'm your host, Sonia, and let's get started. My guest today is Brandon Cullen, the co-founder of MADabolic and a former professional hockey player turned fitness industry disruptor. After a career-ending concussion forced him off the ice, Brandon reinvented himself as a purpose-driven entrepreneur, building MADabolic into the premier strength-focused training brand for high performers. With over 45 locations and plans to hit 50 by 2025, MADabolic is redefining group fitness by rejecting quick fixes and fads in favor of science-backed, structure-driven results. Hi, Brandon. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this conversation with you. So let's start with something personal. What does the phrase the relentless pursuit of better mean to you, and how is it guided in your evolution from pro athlete to entrepreneur?
I think it's some people won't like this, but it's the chase. It's always seeing what else you can do. And that's not
Mm,
like I don't think that's an unhealthy thing. Um Wanting with the right parameters and the right the right focus in place and having your priorities in place, as long as those things are carved out, I think there's nothing wrong with chasing you only get so much time on this earth, and seeing what you can do
yeah.
with it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Why did you think it might be wrong to say chase? I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, for your audience, I think it'll probably land completely well. But
Okay.
if you just look at, the makeup of the world, we need a lot of different types of people in the world.
Mm,
And I think for the entrepreneur, they'll understand the chase. And then someone who's not wired that way, they don't need to understand the chase, and that's okay too.
yeah, no, I agree with that for sure. After a career-ending concussion, many athletes struggle to refine themselves. How did you navigate the identity shift and channel your energy into founding MADabolic?
So I think it was a few things. I was lucky. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, so I kind of saw predominantly my father just navigate the world that way. So
Mm-hmm.
not that it was taught to me, but I think the way I saw him make his way through life just kind of naturally was ingrained with me. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
too, I think athletes, in a weird way, it's kind of like the definition of entrepreneurship. Like nothing matters the day before. Every day you have to pick yourself up and keep moving. You deal with a lot of adversity, whether that be injuries, or even just being a fringe player. Sometimes you're
Mm-hmm.
cut, sometimes you have to everything from maybe impress new coaches to get the respect of teammates to win over the home crowd. I think it's a lesson in entrepreneurship for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I totally agree with you. Athletes are just, I feel like they're wired a little bit differently because whenever I meet like a salesperson who was an athlete or is an athlete, I just find that they're a hustle, whatever you want to call it. There's just something unique about them. And I guess that's part of the training because, you could be with a team, but tomorrow you might not be because you get traded, right? So what goes into that mindset? Can you walk us into that? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
It's funny, I was just talking with my partner about this the other day, where we were watching the Dale Earnhardt documentary. And by
Mm,
no means am I a NASCAR fan at all, but I like stories. I like the story of the grind, and it there is something consistent with that person that's chasing
mm.
that next level, whether you are watching some familiar new ones, the Tiger Woods documentary, or you're watching even like a musician at the highest level. It always that wiring is always there, whether it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter the sport. And I shouldn't always relate it to sports because I imagine there's a certain level of that in just well, it's definitely there in business. Even if you read Angela Duckworth's book Grit, this characteristic seems to be everywhere, and it's just that
Mm.
constant pursuit of never being comfortable and always trying to better yourself. So I think it's just naturally intertwined.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, actually. So let's talk about your business a little bit. MADabolic boldly rejects the trend in group fitness. Can you walk us through the moment you decided to build a strength-driven brand and what gap you saw in the market?
Yeah, it's funny. It's the same gap that exists today. Most concepts in fitness are designed for the masses. And it's kind of funny. It somewhat parallels what we're talking about here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's needed, right? Like people need to move and there needs to be approachable, inclusive offerings to get more people moving. I mean, that's what we are trying to do. I think the hole we saw in the market, there was very few concepts that were prioritizing the high performer and catering their entire offering to them. And, sometimes that's met with some resistance. We often hear things like, you need to be more inclusive. And it's not that it's inclusive or not inclusive. And I have an argument I make often that everything in its own way needs to be exclusive, meaning you need to
Mm-hmm.
speak to a specific someone. And the one thing we did not see was high quality training, high quality strength and conditioning, more so for people past their sport. It
Mm.
was kind of us. At that
Yeah.
point, we were in our late 20s, early 30s. We had competed. We had done that phase in our life, but we still had some of that in us, and we still wanted to see what we could do with this body, um, but also within reason, right? I'm 44 today. When we kind of got into this world, I was in my late 20s, and I'm still trying to figure out how to train safely into my 60s.
Mm.
But it's definitely going to be with a little bit more grit than it would be this product designed for the masses. And, fast forward from, call it 20 years ago, every different version of this that we've been in, the same thing still really exists. There's a lot of
Mm.
great concepts for the everyday person. There's not a ton of great concepts at scale for high achievers looking to be at their best.
So can you walk us through a little bit like how the program works, what makes you so unique in your space?
Yeah, to relate it back to, I guess, some of the statements I just made,
Mm-hmm.
we leverage three words as you could call them our core values, even though we don't really, but we like the three terms: strength, structure, and accountability. And
Mm-hmm.
if you were to kind of relate it back to what we thought was missing, strength is we are a very strength bias program. You'll
Mm-hmm.
notice in the boutique space, it's very cardio heavy.
Okay.
So we start there. Number two, structure. Most of the concepts we will compete with, it's just like organized chaos. Like there's just tons of shit everywhere. It's just 15 to 20 to 30 movements a day, little time to actually work on the thing you're working on. So not only we have 5 movements a day. It's very scripted. It's very predictable. That also props up that kind of that type A personality.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows us to design the room in a way that allows the clients to get a lot of attention on those 5 movements. And that leads into that last piece, accountability. We're very well known for just that one-on-one attention to detail.
Mm.
And to relate it back to who we compete with, there's a lot of um, There's a lot of motivational type programs, and not bad, right? Some people need that to get them out of
Mm-hmm.
bed, and that's a good thing. But our accountability is you will be trained. You will improve your movement each day. There will
Yeah.
be a coach in your face actually making you better. Not only not only letting the client know they've been seen, but actually physically making them move better. So when you kind of
Mm-hmm.
couple all those together, strength bias, a very structured program, and one-on-one accountability on the training floor, it sounds like it shouldn't be foreign, but in the boutique
Mm-hmm.
fitness industry, there's less of that than you'd expect.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, I personally hate going to the gym. That I'm just one of those. But I hate going to the gym, especially with like a coach, because I do find that a lot of the times it's very cookie cutter, and I absolutely hate having a man as a coach because in my brain it's like they're gonna make me do things that dudes should be doing. It's not actually meant for like the female body. And sometimes like I've had trainers in the past and I can physically feel that like the exercises that they're giving me is not really for just my body type or my hormones. Like it might be that time of the month and my body's just very different. Is that something that you guys take into consideration?
I mean, what you're talking about is definitely having a movement, and I think there's a place again to provide a very dialed in niche for women
Mm,
training. I do like
yeah.
it's funny on the flip side of that argument. I would uh, relate it back to what we offer. The common statement is made. The common statement that is kind of flying around today is women aren't just small men, right?
Yeah.
And I would say the flip of it, men aren't bigger women. And the whole boutique industry is designed for a lot of women-based movements and
Oh.
desires and products where we do very well in the male population too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not to get into biology and have
Mm-hmm.
arguments here or there, there are some fundamental things that are just really good for all of us.
Yeah.
Um, Squatting, hinging, pushing, pulling, balance, agility,
Right.
jumping and landing safely. Like I do believe you can create a product that is general enough to train men and women,
Mm-hmm.
but there are definitely seasons in life and cycles within a month that are going to affect people differently, specifically women, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I like that it's more a little bit more catered, and that's probably what makes you unique because not a lot of gyms are catered. Some are just like free for all, some are catered just for men, some are specifically just for women, and some are for both. So it's sometimes it's hard to find which one is best for you because you just don't know what you're walking into.
Yeah, I agree. And that's like, I'm in a big push right now for the
Mm-hmm.
boutique world to get back to the truest sense of that word, boutique, meaning you are great at one specific thing. I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of a women's specific program, almost like a better version of curves, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
lo-
exactly.
and I love the idea of a male specific program and everything in between. I think we lost that understanding what boutique means. It means you are
Mm-hmm.
specific, you are speaking to a specific someone, and you
Yeah.
kind of cater the whole offering to them. And I just don't think it's done enough anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But you've sort of done it with MADabolic, and you've actually turned it into a national franchise with 36 locations and counting. I think you want to be at 50 by the end of this year. What key inflection points helped you scale from a single studio to this fitness empire that you're building? And it's very unique too.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to say we're actually at 45 as of today, which
Oh,
is cool.
okay.
Yeah. And we should be at 50 by the end of the year, just depending on build out schedules. I don't
You're building
honestly,
so fast.
you know what? Not really in our world. I mean, I'm glad on the surface it appears like that. But when you think of some of the powerhouses um in our space, they open at a
Mm-hmm.
rate just at a whole different level than us. But
Really?
even with that being said, I like our trajectory. I like what we are trying to do within a franchise system. We try to be a little bit more picky, but knowing you have to take strategic risks at times, especially in
Mm-hmm.
in these early parts of growth, you kind of have to test your ceiling. You got to
Mm-hmm.
see where this can work and not work, and you take some strategic risks to do that. So I feel like we've learned a ton in the last 10 openings, and I think it gives us a good roadmap for the next 50 once we get to 50. But I can only speak for me personally. I'm okay with doing this well. And if that ends up being 50 great locations, life's good, family's good.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with that. If that becomes 200 and we do it right, I'm okay with that too. For me, it's common to want to get into this industry to help people, and that's
Mm-hmm.
part of it. But for me and my partner, like we actually just wanted to create the best product, and the
Mm-hmm.
byproduct was helping a lot of people. So we kind of went into it from a different perspective that when we show up in a neighborhood, we want our franchise partners to be known as the best in that neighborhood. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how we lead.
When you decided to become an entrepreneur and you went into this, did you always go into it with the vision that you were going to turn it into a franchise, or did you go into it saying I'm going to open one location and run it? What was your vision?
Yeah, no. We were young and arrogant enough to, I would say, think and know we could control the Charlotte market. So that's where we live,
Okay.
Charlotte, North Carolina. And we both had a strong enough reputation. Again, I will go back to that kind of perfect age where you are arrogant enough to think you can't fail. And I think there's a
Mm,
lot of there's a lot of benefit to that early when you have all the time in the world to
mm-hmm.
chase, right? So within the first couple years, not even that, we knew we were onto something. And to sum it up, the choice was kind of made for us because a lot of people were
Right.
asking, would you do this elsewhere? Would you partner?
Mm,
Would you put it within big box gyms? Have you ever considered franchising? So that led us down, well, how would we do this? And now we're here.
yeah. But when you went into it, did you have any franchise experience?
Oh, hell no. I didn't have any experience in anything. So
So how do you go from I have this dream, I want to build this gym with a specific audience or program to now you're a franchisee. Like how do you tell me what it was like going from A to Z.
well, I have a unique partnership with my co-founder. I think we have a kind of perfect synergy of yin and yang, of
Mm,
balance, which is good. And we were at that perfect season in life where I had no kids. His kids were really young. We also were two Canadian kids who finished their careers in the United States,
mm,
had no education and nothing to lose. So we had to just go and kind of learn it on the fly. And I can't imagine this as super unique. Like, I'm not trying to give ourselves a pat in the back here. I think we had a strong work ethic and we were lucky
mm-hmm,
to be in a country and a time that supported the young entrepreneur. It would be difficult to do what we did today
okay.
versus what we did in 2011. It was just the right time to be scrappy. And there was a lot of support. And, I'll always give props to my city, Charlotte, North Carolina, that supported the shit out of us. And it was growing at the same time we were growing. It was kind of like a perfect time for two young, scrappy kids with nothing to lose.
So you and your partner, how did you guys figure out what you were good at and what he was good at? And then like, did you divide and conquer?
It took some time to do that. I think at first we both did everything together. We definitely
Mm-hmm.
had certain skills that one was better at or one enjoyed more.
Mm,
But in the first, I don't know, I want to say like 5 years, we kind of did everything together. And then we decided it wasn't efficient. And then we started carving out roles, like learning on as you go kind of thing. So yeah, we
mm-hmm.
definitely had things that the two of us excelled in. But we didn't have those conversations of how to delegate until a good 5 years in.
Oh, wow. How did you overcome not agreeing on things?
I think I just have a great partner. So he has a very special mindset to not have to have the last word type
Okay,
thing.
that's good.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the opposite of that and can be strong-headed at times. So like I'm lucky to
Mm,
have found that because I think like two me's wouldn't have worked and two of him wouldn't have worked. We actually did need the two skill sets to really do this the right way.
yeah. And you said you guys are both Canadian and you started your athlete career in the US. Were you both friends prior to this, or did you become friends going into this?
No, we just ended up on the same team our last
Okay.
year playing. That's kind of how. Now the hockey world in a weird way is a small world and there's a shared culture. I mean, you're
Mm,
brought up a very specific way as a Canadian hockey player. So there was that common bond. The other
yeah.
thing too is we played very similarly, meaning we weren't the best players, but had a very strong work ethic. We're committed
Mm-hmm.
to playing for the team. And then fitness was a massive part of our game,
Yeah.
which became the thing that we kind of initially bonded on.
Yeah. And I asked the question because, it doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you're doing. If you have a partnership or a co-founder, having a relationship with that person, it usually works if you've already been friends and you sort of know that person a little bit well, and you can go into business together and be co-founders. But if you don't know someone, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. So in a way, you guys sort of knew each other, but you didn't know each other that well. That was risky getting into and not really knowing. But in a way, it was also it worked out better for you. So now I'm just wondering if it would have been better if you had or hadn't been friends and gone into that relationship because it's going to be an ongoing. It's almost like a marriage, right? Your co-founder
It
and
sure
your
is.
relationship.
It's the longest relationship I've ever had in my life, to be
Okay.
honest. Um, yeah, I do really credit that. I mean, what happened, like, you got to think of where we were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Entering into the American workforce, the two of us did not go to university, not like at all. We didn't go to college. We went to high school and then we played in the top leagues in Canada and then chanced professional. And we never got to the leagues where you made this level of money that you could just comfortably live on by any means.
Mm.
So one day the career ended and something had to happen. It was really that simple. Like some shit
Yeah.
needed to happen, and we just kept moving our feet. To use a funny hockey analogy, just keep your feet moving forward, just keep going. And we
Yeah.
learned on the fly. Now, I do, we work hard. And now I think the other thing that we have done well over time is we are good when we're good at hiring when we're not good at something. So like we don't,
Right.
I don't want to say great at delegating, but great at putting the right teammate in the right seat, I think is something we've done pretty well at.
And that's a hard skill. I've tried and I personally will say that I don't think I'm very good at it, and I wish I was. Um, so your training model is rooted in science-backed intervals. What does that structure unlock for members, and how does it differ from mainstream fitness programs?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it early. It actually
Mm-hmm.
just has structure. When you're thinking of Every day cannot be 100%. Every day cannot be game day. That's just a recipe to get injured, or it's a recipe to plateau. So to
Mm,
kind of dumb it down into the very, simplest basic terms, driving in different gears is a good thing. It allows you to have enough stimulus or enough of the workout to keep you progressing forward, but it's not crippling you all day long, right?
mm-hmm,
You shouldn't be constantly sore, constantly tired. Um, and the way we design things is not to peak for an event. It's to be able to do what we do for 20 plus years and to not have injuries and to be able to keep progressing. So
mm,
a lot of the world we live in, pop culture, boutique fitness, as I like to call it, it's a lot of fluff, 100 miles an hour with very little coaching. And I know
mm.
how strong that sounds, but no one can argue me with that. Even the people that are going to get mad at hearing this, they know it. Um, so hopefully over time, hopefully we can at least, and it's not going away, but hopefully over
Yeah.
time we can offer the industry something different that should speak to the more type A high performing person that values structure and predictability.
Love it. I mean, it sounds like you because you're an athlete, you sort of appreciate that structure.
I think the funny analogy is routine is good.
Mm.
That's not a fitness,
Yes, I
it's not a
agree.
fitness thing. That's if you talk about any successful person, 99% of them are going to have a strong routine, even creatives that people
Mm.
sometimes make fun of. There's a story. I was at a conference about 10 years ago, and someone was explaining about Stephen King's writing style. And
Mm.
supposedly, and I might be messing this up, I'm paraphrasing, but supposedly for his entire career, he writes from 7 to 11 every morning. And as
Oh, wow.
this presenter was giving this, someone in the audience yelled out, well, obviously he can do that. He's Stephen King. And the person presenting said, or is he Stephen King because he did that? And I always
Mm.
thought that was I really resonated with that statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah, I love that. I personally love my routine. Whenever I go on vacation with people, I'm always like, "Oh, I can't wait to get back to my routine." Like I literally miss it. And then sometimes I feel like I'm a robot. I'm like, "Why am I like this?" But even during COVID, people were like working from home. Not me. I went to the office every day. Even though I was there completely by myself, I needed that routine of like getting up and showering and getting in my car and going to the office. Like it was killing me not to have that. So I totally get it.
I get
Um
that. That's me. I mean, I'm not a
that's
work
you.
from home person.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't have an office, I would have a WeWork office or something.
Yeah.
Like I would I want to go, and even for fitness, I'm also not a workout at home person. I like to
Mm-hmm.
go to my places that are designed for that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And for me, like working from home is not designed for me. Like I don't
Hmm.
have my setup. It's all so I understand. I agree with you. Let's talk about how sometimes founders, I think every founder hits a wall. What was a pivotal moment where you doubted Metabolic's future, and how did you push through it?
You know what's weird? And I'm not copping out because every week there's a pivotal moment if you are doing this right. I really
Right.
mean that, right? And every level of scale brings a whole different host of challenges. Like when we have
Mm-hmm.
10 units open, the wall is different than what does 51 look like.
Yeah.
When you enter different markets, when you start selling outside of your personal reach to investor type people that you have to teach how to hire. Like it's so funny that I could say right now I'm hitting a wall
Mm-hmm.
because there is some walls I have to break through right now. But I think the
Right.
benefit of an entrepreneur or at least the way I look at it, I have a really healthy and unhealthy ability to compartmentalize.
Mm,
I literally do not think about years ago or yesterday. I only think of what can be done today. And it serves you well in business. It's not always great from a relationship side of things, as you could imagine.
mm-hmm,
But every day there's a fire to put out. And if you're hitting a wall that's crippling your ability to move forward, you're not an entrepreneur.
mm,
I'm sorry, you won't be wired for those days because they are weekly, if not daily.
right.
So, you want to hear a funny story? I'll give you this. So, um, I'm wearing my ring, my Aura ring,
Yes. Yes.
right? So, in the last year, they've added like your stress levels, right? And this is a bit, I'm always cautious on saying this because it's not good. I know this. But my stress levels are higher when I'm getting my kids to school or navigating sports on the weekend than I am putting out the fires of all fires at work. So if I look at like my daytime stress Monday through Friday, it's like, oh, nice and restored. And
Oh.
then nights and weekends kick in and my stress levels are like through the roof, where I almost feel more calm in places of stress and
Mm,
less calm when I'm just trying to relax. And by the way, I know that's not great.
yeah.
there's probably some stuff to work on there. But
A doctor's gonna call you. I think there's something wrong.
but I just think it's a wiring of an entrepreneur. I imagine a lot of people are probably like that. It's
Yeah.
not good or bad. I just think it's something that is part of the role and something that you
Yeah.
gravitate towards.
So something I'm curious about, how has your leadership style evolved over time?
Um, it really has not.
Mm,
And you work on your shortcomings for sure. Like one of the things I know is I'm not a great kind of manager of people, meaning,
but I mean, come on, who is?
yeah, I mean, you know what though? I have some friends that are just so genius at this, and I look at them, I'm
Really?
like, how the hell do you do this? Like, it's beautiful to watch you navigate that in a very kind of empathetic way. Like, I
Yeah.
personally like just lacing up my shoes and leading by example and
Mm,
like things done a certain way, which is not always, it's probably more of if you were to kind of put a hat on, it's like a visionary versus an operator type thing, or
mm,
a
yeah.
visionary versus a manager. But both roles again are needed. And that's why I try to avoid placing myself into the managing of people side of things when it comes to our 45 franchises with 45 different GMs, with 45 different stories, set of core values, backgrounds, all those things come into play. What I'm concerned with most is driving the vision that I know makes MADabolic succeed, or even just the
Mm-hmm.
vision I want MADabolic to be. So I know it's not the politically dressed up answer, but you know, that's kind of how I see it, whether it's hard to hear or not. And I
Yeah.
realize saying it out loud, you sound like an asshole right now, but I'd rather be honest with where I,
Yeah.
lack and what I'm strong with.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because I think you're being realistic about, first of all, who you are and maybe your management style, and you're aware, which means there's always room for improvement, but you know who you are and you know who you're not, so you can't fake something that you're not, right? So we're coming up on time, but before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you one last question.
Okay.
For founders who may feel stuck or burnt out or unsure of their next move, what's one principle or mindset shift that helped you stay focused and resilient during the toughest seasons?
So I've been saying this a lot lately, and it comes from a book called Essentialism.
Okay.
and kind of the subheading is the disciplined pursuit of less. And
Oh, okay. That's
yeah,
different.
yeah, it is. It really is. And it's about priorities. But one of the things that you need to first identify is who you are and who you want to serve.
Mm,
And I think if you can, it's actually like I think it's who you what you offer and who you want to serve.
mm,
So let's say in specific to Metabolic, we're a strength bias interval training program in the group fitness space. Who do I want to serve? High performers, high
mm,
achievers. So if you take those two simple things, right? I'm not concerned with making a sick person well.
mm.
I'm concerned with making the athletic driven person better. That sounds awful, but I could do that for, I'll give you a contrasting example. So, a company in our space called Burn Boot Camp, you ever heard of them?
No.
So, their mission statement is to ignite global wellness for women and their families.
Okay.
See how they're both very exclusive. I know one sounds softer than the other
Mm-hmm.
one, but I could make an argument that, well, my competitor over here is not doing anything to attract or cater to me. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, they're excluding me. Good. They
Yeah.
should, and they're great at it, and they're one of the best in our business. We're just trying to be the best over here. So if a founder is stuck, maybe having that exercise with themselves could really help set priorities and set boundaries. It's almost like give yourself a box
Mm.
of constraints to operate within and just stay within your box.
Yeah, I like it. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for joining today. I appreciate you being open to talk about your journey and doing everything that you're doing. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank Brendan for joining me today and sharing such a powerful story of resilience, reinvention, and real results. What stood out the most was his unwavering commitment to building something that lasts, challenging the norm, and elevating what we expect from fitness, leadership, and ourselves. A key takeaway: you don't have to follow trends to build a movement. With clarity of purpose and relentlessness, consistency, you can carve out your own category. And that's a wrap. To our listeners, thank you for joining me on this journey of learning, growth, and inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform and connect with our community on social media. I'd love to hear your feedback, so leave a review and let me know what topics you'd want to explore in future episodes. Remember, the future belongs to those who embrace challenges, adapt with tenacity, and keep pushing forward. Keep growing, keep pivoting, and most importantly, stay tenacious in your pursuits. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you more insightful conversations in our upcoming episodes. This is Sonia signing off, but as always, keep chasing your dreams with tenacity.